Right, thanks. Hello, I'm Mike Whitewick. Doing this on behalf of Lee Ashby for his BSMA Motocross Memories page, Facebook page. Got with me the Motocross legend, who's a legend and well-known Steve Dixon. Thanks for coming and your time. And my ex-boss for 12, 13 years, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I came straight out of school working with you, eh?
Yeah, 15.
So,
Yeah.
who's your best mechanic ever worked for you? No,
Wow.
I'm joking. Nah, it's all right. But yeah, I was 16, end of 98, and then worked with you 99 with Mailer.
Yeah. After you bought one of my bikes.
That was it.
Well,
My dad did, yeah.
yeah, one of Mailer's, like full on bike almost, wasn't it?
It was full on. It had the Rinaldi kit and everything, because I remember you had to take a head off it, I think.
Yeah. It was that awesome bike. Yeah,
but we had the same heads.
yeah.
I was going to get into that because, like, I think I was lucky with the time I was with you to catch the end of the two-stroke era. I grew up racing two strokes.
Yeah.
And obviously, I rode standard bikes, and then we bought that full-on bike, and it was awesome. It was a missile.
Yeah. Light as anything.
It was, yeah. It was just it had the Olins. It was everything. It was full-on bike. Yeah, it was good. And that's how my dad knew you, anyway. I think through Steve Wheeler. Sadly passed away.
Kevin. Yeah.
He passed
Say
away.
that again?
He passed away a couple of months ago.
Oh no, really?
He did, yeah. He had cancer.
God, I didn't know. Kevin's dad.
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
That was yeah, sad, but it's that's how we knew you. I used to ride with him. I used to ride with Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that bike was really good, and then I wasn't going to make a career out of riding, eh? So I wasn't.
No. Your dad asked if you can come along, and yeah, then you took to it, and yeah, I think you started at 15, 16. Ben started at 15, 16, and so did Jordan start at 15, 16.
Yeah, get them young when they don't know any better.
Yeah, you were with me, what, 12 years, 13 years?
12 years, yeah. But I've soon
Ben was 12 or 13 as well.
He was about that. I see you've always had pretty loyal. Jordan
is 27 now. He came at 15 from work experience.
Work experience. That's
12 years he's been there. He's 27, yeah. Now, all three of you have been awesome, you know?
Yeah.
Absolute diamond, you know, and yeah, I think all three of you were like, could walk into any job and, you know, be the best in the paddock.
Yeah, I eventually, well, by the end of it, I felt very at home in the paddock. Like I felt like I had a lot of respect from everyone.
Yeah.
But I worked hard. I just wanted to learn, eh?
Yeah.
But like I said, I caught the end of the two-stroke era, so there was all the testing, and we used to be up at DEP all night.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
To pipes and all sorts and experimenting. But like, where did you learn to tune two strokes? Because they're always quick, eh?
Yeah. So
stuff like you have the Rinaldi stuff, but even on the four strokes, they were always wanting to dyno your bike.
Yeah. So I mean, way back in when I didn't do schoolboy motocross. I did. Yeah, I had field bikes, and you know, from sort of 11 or 12, I sort of just tuned my BSA Bantam, and then I had a CZ380. I was just always into engineering. Yeah, my dad never rode a bike. He was into cars. He did, you know, he used to rebuild his car engines and that. He bought me a car at like 11, Herald Estate, and I took all that apart. And then when I was 16, I sort of rebuilt all my Vauxhall engine, you know, and stuff like that. And yeah, my bikes, I just used to read and experiment, and I used to go to this, reminds me of the Karate Kid, this guy called Ray Snowd. He was an old guy, lived in Corhampton, which is just outside Winchester. And you know, I used to go over there with my Mako, and he'd show me a bit after an hour, and he'd go, right, you've seen enough. Go now. And I was the only one, he would show anything because you know, I had so much passion to learn, and I used to sit there. My mum and dad would sit outside for hours, and I'd be in this like chicken shed, and they'd have chickens running around and dogs going everywhere in this old shed, and he'd be porting and showing me. And back in those days, you could make, you know, such a big difference from, you know, how the bikes were, because, you know, everything, nothing just aligned up or stuff like that. And
yeah.
then I became a, you know, I went to British Rail for my engineering and welding and all that. And the only reason I became a welder was because I wanted to build a frame. And
right,
yeah, that's, you know, building things have always been my passion. And you know, all the time I raced, I had sort of the fastest bikes around. I'd whole shot, and then, you know, that was it. I'd drop back to 10th. Yeah, I was a loose cannon. I didn't know how to go around corners. I was a loose cannon.
Still a loose cannon.
I didn't know how to go around corners until I got off a Mako onto Yamaha, and I was at Ham Lane. I couldn't believe that I could actually go around the same ruts as like the other people. I mean, the Mako was like a boat.
Oh, wow.
But it was as fast as anything, and yeah, I tuned everything, and yeah, that was a passion then, and it's a passion now, and yeah, you know, like sort of like you became, you know, you can just get absorbed in it, and you know, because I have a good engine.
I wasn't mechanically minded, but came in and like I loved it straight away, but then wanted to learn as much as I can. A lot like you, and Moose was the same with the Olins. He was the one that wouldn't show anyone anything, but he gave me a lot of time from the beginning, because he could see I was passionate.
That's because you're both drunk. Whiskey.
Yeah,
no, I mean, you know, you showed that passion, and so did Ben.
Yeah.
You know, Ben now works at
Olins
MotoGP. You know, Jordan's the same. You know, it's funny how you three have like, yeah, you know, it's like you've nurtured, and you know, you can also do suspension, engines, and everything. And I think that's you know, and that's how I was given a free rein. And you know, here it's you know, the opportunities, yeah, like the mechanics, if they want to learn, and you know, I entrust them, and you know, they can go on, and sky's the limit. And that
was one of the biggest thing I found, was the trust, because we were pretty much left to run as far as the team and that, not the team, but the going racing. You know, as long as we were there the weekend, you were never on our case. You know,
I mean, you know, my first boss, Roger Harvey, totally trusted me, and then Andrew Smith from Yamaha, you know, totally trusted me. Steve Guttridge now at Kawasaki sort of trusts me, and you know, if you trust someone and they don't abuse that trust, and they show that they can absorb it, then you know, there's no reason to get on the back. And when you find yourself and you do your own thinking, you know, and your own initiative, then you'll always get the best out of that person. You know, and because, you know, if you want to learn, you'll learn. If you don't want to learn, you won't. And you know, it's either a job for you or not. But here you can expand your sort of horizons to any part of the job, and you know, you can go to that line with your rider and know that you've done the engine, the suspension, the testing, and everything. You know everything about that bike, and that bike is going around as part of you.
I was about to say that your team is a bit. I think it's unique in the way that you can learn everything. You got the dyno there, and you got everything you need to do anything you want. You can machine anything you do. You machine all your own bolts and bolts and carbs, and I remember being left on the dyno to just experiment as well. You know, you could just try this, try that, and we blow up and we blew things up. But it was all part of that learning.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing.
I don't think any other teams are like that now. I don't, like you say, someone else does the engines, and they've got a very sort of regimented.
I mean, it's, you know, it has changed, but still, you know, the bike on the track is, you know, if you can, you know, that's how we won with all of our riders. The sort of, it is tough going against like the bigger teams, but they're only bigger in number. I mean, as you may know, we machine bolts for certain factory teams, and we they just have more resources.
More money.
But still, after 31 years, I come to work every single day looking forward to work. And apart from KTM Factory, we've had more first-time GP winners than any other team.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, as young riders, you've got a lot of. I've thought about that. I don't know what. I've always wondered why you think that might be, but I think it's just that.
Well, I mean, I think
the free reign again as well. You never, same with the riders. You let them do what they need.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't care about them, but it's as you know, with Zach and those guys, with Andrew McFarlane, that the time that he won, I mean, he had a bad race in France, and we just said to him, right, look, Andrew, just take a week off with Natalie. Your dad's over. Go and enjoy yourself. Meet us in Italy, and then he won, all the races, and that's. And he said to me, if he was at the Kawasaki factory team at that time, the year before, they would have beasted him for 4 days. He'd have got to the weekend, and he would have been
in the same,
dead. And
over it,
And I mean, there's. You just have to be confident in what you're doing, and no one is right and wrong in what they do. So you have to just be confident in what you're doing.
Something Zach said was the passion. Just everyone at the team.
Yeah.
Passionate. Like there's just, and I think you have to be to do that job. But yeah, he said there's something about it. It was like it's still just a bunch of people who love it. And
I mean, there's no one here, like say Geordie, say you, or say Ben. I mean, I have to say you three, because you three were you're the three that sort of became passionate and stuck it out. There's other mechanics obviously have been here or come from other teams and stuff like that, but
I saw a lot come and go.
None of them had that passion to want to absorb all that other stuff, and that a rider can see that.
Oh yeah.
And
it gives a rider.
I mean, and I mean, if the rider knows that you want to win as much as them, then that helps. And you have to understand the rider. We work with a lot of foreign riders from Australia, from America, New Zealand. It's not that we don't, and we have British riders and stuff. Then we took Brady from 14 to winning GPs. We took Cole Nunn from sort of 16 to winning GPs. Those sort of things. And I mean, we specialize in looking for the misfits, really.
Probably.
I guess we specialize in looking for a rider that's almost on the brink, but
just needs
hasn't quite made it, and there's a little bit of the puzzle that needs making. And Zach was his career was over, as you know, and
he said that at night he was done, really.
And that's Zach. Zach is a it's not just because he's a present rider still, but Zach is a that's what a film should be made about. We saw him crying in Lowell because he didn't, his dad's getting on at him and stuff like that. You share all of those moments, and how hard it was for Brittany and those. And
I was trying to sort of. It's hard for people to know how hard it is for someone to come away, especially at 18. Along with a girlfriend and come over, but he gelled really well in the team, man. He fed off.
I mean,
it was hard. It wasn't easy for him, was it?
No.
It wasn't easy. It was hard.
No, and he's typical of the characters that I like. Which is like anyone coming from like America and stuff like that, or Australia, and you know, they've given up a lot. And I always used to find like the British riders, you know, they were gifted, but when they went abroad, it was like, it was difficult. You know, it's, you know, Billy was fast enough to win a world title, and he was as fast as anything. And
I thought he was just the same one to have a bad weekend the weekend before and then goes to Japan. And I've not seen more guys around the track quicker, I don't think.
No, I mean,
he was so fast around that place.
I think
we've had our chats about that and the theories.
Well, it brings everyone down to his level.
Yeah.
You know, of chaos, basically. You know, eating McDonald's, not sleeping at night, messed up time zones.
The time zone was a lot of it, because he sort of he used to miss practices because he was still asleep and first practice. A bit like Porcel. Yeah. His time, you know, he was well awake, so the time worked for him. But I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, every rider is individual, and part of the biggest, you know, puzzle is to work out the rider sort of as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And that's you know, and it's difficult
because they're all very different as well, the way they do things.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no set regime for anyone. There's if a rider, you know, someone like, I mean, the year that we had like Zach and Tonus, I mean, they were like chalk and cheese. You know, Zach sort of, you know, short, and at that time he was, you know, he was a lot bigger than he is now. He wasn't fat then, but you know, he was strong. He did maybe too much cycling, and then you had Arnold. He was like, every time you looked at him, he was training. But you know, Zach just wanted to ride, and you know, two totally different styles of riders. But on, you know, they had to have not the same bike, but it started out the same bike, and you know, we tailored the bikes to suit the two riders. One changed gear a lot. The other, you know, Zach revved to the moon, and you know, was fantastic. You know, like looked ultra fast and out of control on the track, and then Arnold looked blowing and smooth, and come in and like they're like within 0.1 of a second. Yeah, and that's what, you know, that's what you have to see in a rider, as to how to understand that rider. I mean, you know, my current rider from Australia, Wilson, you know, we just haven't had enough time with him to really understand him, because he was injured at the end of last year, and then we come back and it's all rain, and you need, you know, and there's no, the racing over in Australia is different, so you can't really gauge in that. But you know, Wilson's he's a good puzzle to work out, and you know, he's a nice guy, and you know, I believe we worked out the puzzle for Courtney straight away, and again, it was trust. She, you know, she came over here, and we trusted her to train over in New Zealand and come over here just for the races, and yeah, because of working with Zach and Andrew and Dean and all that, you know,
Andrew worked hard with his training, but he's very
absolutely
very dedicated, weren't they? They were
absolutely.
Him and Natalie.
Yeah. I mean,
details,
you know,
I remember with Andrew, I would say details. He was very.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. You know, it wasn't all roses between all of the riders. You know, they all can.
Yeah.
You know, but the you know, all riders have, let's say, a bit of an arsehole mood in them, and that, because you know, you know, it's their one chance, you know, and they don't want anyone messing it up, and you know, riders are selfish, but you have to be a winner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be dedicated to anything, whether it's anything, you know, whether it's to be successful in business, to be successful in anything, you have to be selfish. And it's not selfish because you don't care about other people, but you know, I believe that you're put here, and that's your path. If you're that person that, you know, like myself, that sacrifices everything to achieve, then It's not because you don't care about anyone else or family or that. It's just that's just how you are. That's how you've been sort of programmed.
Focus on your goal.
Yeah, and that's what a rider is, or whether it's a sportsman, a footballer, or a it's a bit different in football because you've got a team, but anyone doing sort of running or
anything in
arts or anything like that, it's the work put in and it's the dedication. And when you get to the top of GPs, everyone's dedicated, everyone's fit, everyone's fast, and everyone's got good bikes. So then it comes down to even more determination and trying to work out the opposition. And
I think Zach even touched on that the other day. He was saying something about, he kept bringing up Cooper Webb and how he's just got that little bit in him that, they're friends and that, but like he's got something in him that's got that. I would say is that selfishness. He can just take it to that the extra level.
Yeah.
Zach can't. He's not got that in his character, maybe a little bit, but.
I don't know. I think he did in 2017 at the last round of the Supercross.
Yeah, he was a villain there, eh?
Yeah.
But he's at the moment, I think he was. That's what he's lacking, is that little bit of.
Yeah, animal. Yeah, in him, killer. But Zach will work that out. I mean, Billy didn't lack any of that. That's for sure.
No.
Especially when you're going down the straight at Torrington and you're trying to knock your teammate Brian Jorgensen out of the way on the first corner and then miss. And
he was going for the British Championship. Brian was trying to win the British Championship. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was only about 1 or 2 points in it. I mean, that was all. Yeah. No, I mean, all of the riders, that want to succeed, can succeed. It's you need some strokes of luck and everything now and again, obviously in everything. But it's a hard job, especially when they have downtimes. I remember like Brian Jorgensen, like when he broke his scapula.
Yeah, we had rough years that were tough.
Yeah. I mean,
the result when you beat the factory teams, there's no better feeling, eh? But,
I know. You just got to be happy with what you've got, and I don't begrudge any of the bigger teams. I mean, I just missed out on it.
But maybe that's why where they are a bit more regimented, because they have to be, because it's such a big operation. Maybe that doesn't work for each rider, like you say, and you can adapt more.
Yeah. I mean,
you got that flexibility to adapt with each
rider.
I
mean, out of all the teams that Max has rode for, we took him to third in the world, on his first, on our first time with Kawasaki. And, but he was at home, he was living with his hands.
He still thinks that your 250F, the last one he rode, was the quickest 250F he's ever ridden.
Who said that?
Zach.
Oh, yeah, and Max did, and Lieb, and and I mean, and they've been on some, tough, top bikes and teams. But I mean, that's not what drives me. I mean, it's
I know.
It's just making myself happy, and the people around. It's
I don't know what I'd say we drive. I'd like running the GP. I don't know why you would do that to yourself. And people, I get frustrated when I read it, like people saying that you're cashing in and you're making all this money, and it's just like if you were making all that money, you'd be ploughing it. It would all go back into the team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just even in March. I mean,
I know it doesn't bother you. None of that bothers you. You're not.
No, I mean, if I would answer any media question or any
I know.
Answer. I enjoy it, if they ring up or not ring up, but have a little bit of banter on Instagram or Facebook, because ultimately I know that no one else would put what I do into it, and
there's no way,
the whole aim of running a GP was because there was, the GPs were so inconsistent, and the British GP at Fox Hill, that was so important to us. We'd have like 300 guests. I'd have a tent over the top, all the bike, it would be there and everything. And, you know, that used to be fantastic. And then when it started, you know, but basically when Fox Hill got rained off a couple of times, and you know, we had the triple header, and it was like a swamp that got cancelled. Then it got cancelled next year, and then it was going to be somewhere else, and then that got cancelled. And then Isle of Wight
Mallory
was there for 1 year, and so we needed stability, and that's the whole key. And now I think we've pretty much run more GPs in Britain than anyone in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Which is hard to think that Matley's had 2 nations and 10 Grand Prix. It's it's crazy. And and I mean the other tracks is, you know, I'd have loved at the time if the GPs had carried on and I hadn't had to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, it was, and it's never ever been easy. Now it's sort of getting, it's easy to organise, but it's still, you know, hard financially. I mean, like taking March, you know, it was raining and that, and I spent something like 12 or 13 grand just on tractor pullers. You know, just 6 tractors working 18 hours a day for 3 days. It just all adds up, you know, and road sweeping, and people don't sort of realise that. And but you know, it's my choice to do it. It's my choice to do it or not, you know. And I still like to do it. And I gauge how bad it is by how many wobbly days I have. Normally it's down to like 1 now, like where you think, oh my, you like just cover your ears and you think, oh no. But nothing could be the two worst moments I think in my life was.
I've only seen. Like, I can't imagine the amount of pressure I've seen, the amount of maybe debt you've been in, and I don't know how anyone else could live with it. But I have seen you go as well. I've seen you snap a couple of times, and I've kept well out of the way. But that's very, very, very rare. Nothing seems to faze you, like nothing.
No, I mean, if I snap, you know, violently, then get out of the way. But
so I only saw that once, I think, and that was warranted. I think we won't get into that. That was
that a mechanic?
No,
or was that at Supercross?
It was a Supercross, and that was after a series of events. Yeah, where we got a bit.
Yeah, we were talking about that today. Yeah, it was the banter and that with Mike Church and their team, and with Billy and Saudi. I was talking to Saudi about it the other day, and but I mean the Supercross. You know that well, it's not really Supercross. It's arena. You know, like it was sort of arena cross stuff.
Actually, I'm thinking. I think we might be thinking about 2 different. I'm thinking about Belfast.
Oh wow, yeah, Belfast as well. Yeah, but it was all to do with Billy and.
But it was all down to Billy, yeah. But
yeah. I mean, they were, you know, fun times. But yeah, I mean, again, we all look after our own, and
we were like a little family. Yeah, it was all very much.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, still live to tell the tale.
Oh, there's plenty of crazy stories.
Yeah, always. I mean, I mean, it's just part of. Yeah, I mean, God, I've been doing it. This is my 31st year.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh?
And still, I'm at work 10 o'clock. You know, there's you know, no GPs on, but always busy, always trying to do stuff and
develop and test. That's what we used to do there, eh? Development.
Yeah, test. Yeah.
And you've got everything.
Yeah.
You're still working with Cosworth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. I just bought 9,000 shims today.
Yeah. Another load more.
No, Levelwood part of it.
About the GP as well, I keep seeing people saying, that Fox should be at Fox Hill, should be at Hawkstone, but I think people don't quite understand it's changed. GPs have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's bigger, and it's not just. I think people. Yeah, those tracks are iconic, but they've got the.
Yeah, I mean, nothing
has to be made.
Yeah, I mean, it. You know, I love all of those tracks. You know, I used. You know, Farley for me was a track I used to go to. You know, when I started motocross, and we used to go there with. You know, all the local guys from the sort of Eastleigh and Winchester motocross clubs, and you know, we go and play cards, and you know, stuff like that. And, you know, it was fantastic time watching. That was my fan time, you know, watching Thorpe and stuff like that. And, yeah, and then, you know, Hawkstone was always, you know, I always associated Hawkstone with New Year's Day because we used to go up there and it was freezing cold, and we won. You know, I won it with Jeremy Watley, with Craig Prattley, and and then it came later, and we won with Tonus and stuff like that. But you know, more so because Hawkstone was really the 500 GP, and then the 250s were at Fox Hill, and you know, even Froome, that was good.
Yeah. Nantwich was wonderful.
Nantwich, yeah. I mean, I was, you know, when Craig Prattley, you know, was running third at Nantwich, and then he had this great big crash, and yeah, all of those sort of things. You know, they were great. I mean, Fox Hill was great. You know, I won, you know, my first double GP there with Mailer in '95.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, to stand in front of all those crowds, you know, was just amazing. And you know, that place is amazing.
Better than the Nations win.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Nations.
Yeah.
The Nations to me was a personal, a really personal achievement because you know, Paul was riding really not well on the 250 that year.
Yeah, did he?
No, and so so I said to Paul, the only way that we're going to get to the Nations is if you ride a 125.
Yeah.
So I built a 125, and we went and did some races. We did Kennel, we did some others, and you know, he beat him. I did all my testing with Neil Shepherd because Neil, you know, rode the 125, and I did that, and you know, I got the 125 going really well. And you know, they had open tests with Kelly Swanson, I think at the time, who was sort of running top in the British Championship and all that. And yeah, me and Paul, we went to the tests at, I think, Ham Lane and somewhere else, and you know, we were the only ones that really took it serious. You know, we put a lot of effort into it, and yeah, and then he got chosen, and you know, and he went 1-1, and yeah, I mean, that was fantastic. But you know, deep down, I know that if I hadn't suggested it and put that work in, Paul would never even have been there.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that was a good time for me. And yeah, and then afterwards, I can't believe how much Paul could drink. And I looked at him. I mean, he had so many Jack Daniels, and I mean, I don't drink, and I'm thinking, how can you have that many Jack Daniels and still be standing? You must know how to drink normally. So yeah, Paul can handle his drink big time.
Oh, and you're the opposite. You have one.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, like yeah, and yeah, I mean, yeah, they were chaotic times. I mean,
the rider and mechanic relationship was very different back then as well, I think.
Well, yeah, Paul was my best man, you know, and Craig used to live with me when he was.
Was it Watley you first worked with?
Yeah, Jeremy Watley was my first rider. Yeah, I mean, he was from Ringwood. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, he was I mean, he was really
on the truck with you, didn't they? So it was a road trip for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I still have a bit of banter with Roger Harvey now because he was my first boss, and I said to him, Roger, where do you go to the toilet in the van? He said, well, you know, it's like just use the motorway services. I said, well, where do I sleep? He says, well, you put Lilo in the back with the spares. I said, well, what about a shower or that? He said, well, you use the motorway services. And I said, what about cooking or anything like that? He says, we just use the sandwiches. Yeah. And I always used to, at that time, travel with Julian Dobb, and he had Jamie's caravan, and I was always repairing that. But I said to Julian, I said, like, he used to use this lovely paper toweling, and it was like really expensive. And you know, Jamie and Julian were well, you know, they were well off.
Yeah.
You know, and they could do what they wanted to do. You know, that they had, you know, a good farm and I guess a good business and everything. And you know, that they were fortunate in that. And I said to Julian, I said, how do you afford that paper? He said, well, it's just paper. I said to Roger Harvey, I said, Roger, can I get some paper towel in? He says, what do you want that for? I said, well, to make the job a bit easy. He said, well, just use rags, just get rags. Roger, and so like now, as he's boss of like HRC, and he's got his double, he's got his double hospitality and everything, and I still rib him for that. But I don't think I'd have it anyway, because he taught, he allowed me and taught me, to appreciate everything. And
that was just about me I found as well, obviously just going on the road, and it's not like you were there or anything, but I could have never have learned anything as much about life without just doing the traveling and then dealing with problems as they come along. The truck breaks down, you get to a border and they put you in no man's land for 12 hours, and there's always something, but you have to deal with it.
That's
I value all that. It was stressful at the time, but I value it now.
It's still, the traveling's sort of a lot more easier now, because the schedules, then
flying a lot now.
Although we do more races now, GPs, then you had sort of like 5 or 6 hours at the GP weekend, compared to like now it's 2.5 hours. And we used to do internationals. I think at the beginning we had, I think one year I was away 263 days.
Yeah.
So you got like, then we had 12 GPs, 8 500 British Championships, and then 6 250 and 125 British Championships. So the 250 and the 125 you had something like 20 minutes in between each race, and also like half an hour between the 125s and the 250s.
Right.
Some people only did one class, but Paul did 2, and they were good. They were all good though, and it's just a different time now. I mean, the
sports has developed and changed. It's just
what people have to understand is one, you didn't have Sunday trade and all that, and bikes were sold so many. There were so many bikes sold, so many clubs around, so many bikes sold. So everything was financed by the manufacturers. I remember anyone that did GPs, Yamaha would give 6 bikes. All the bikes came through me, and I think I had like 36 bikes in 1 year. So Tony Marshall would get 6 from me, Neil Shepherd, Nathan Shelton. Anyone that was doing GPs got that. Dunlop tires, everything, and they can't afford to do that now. So then you need sponsors, and then if you take, I don't know, say like the last one at Fox Hill, the triple header, you were in a foot of mud in like soup, and then I remember being in Finland and working, we're actually like in a foot of water trying to work, and no one would work in those conditions now. If you was a builder, or if you was in an office and they didn't put the heating on and they didn't do this, everyone would be complaining. And
leaking.
Back then mechanics were just treated like crap. They were. You should be grateful that you're doing this job. They got absolute crap money, and I was fortunate from Yamaha that I got good money back then. But the majority of there was a lot more people trying to qualify, but in my eyes, today there's a lot more careers out of motocross than there was back then. It was it was the few elite GP riders that got money, and then everyone, like your Neil Shepherd, your Tonys, all of that, they got qualifying money, but that never covered their dads to be off work, to pay a mechanic, to get the fuel, to get a truck. You just had to find a mechanic that would go along for the jolly and loved it. And it was, they were treated like crap, and but I think now there's structure. You take, say, Geordie, Ben, they've got children, they've got houses, they've got, it's a career, and not,
there's a lot more,
just and that's the reason that, you know, I've never moved to Belgium, because if and the mechanics come from here,
They've always been local, yeah.
Yeah, because ultimately you know, you grow up and you know, you meet a girl, you get married or whatever, you get a house, you do all those sort of things, and that's just natural in life, and you can't stop that. That is just life. And if you don't want to lose that person, then if they've got a home life, like they can go home to their you know, their houses and their wives or their girlfriends and their children and that, then, you know, they have still two lives, and it's not like a little mini prison sentence where they have to be, you know, camped above the mechanic workshop and stuff like that. You know, that's fine for a short spell, you know, I believe.
I think I saw quite that crossover period. I did it. I found that was my life, was the work, and and then you fit a private life around it if you can.
Yeah.
But it slowly changed, and it slowly developed and changed. Like you got the workshop and.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the times are a lot easier now.
Yeah.
As in, you know, they don't have to work silly hours. You know, they work normal hours, and then when we're at GPs,
so we used to be up all night going to deep and testing on, and we would
absolutely,
we'd be still on the dyno, but
I mean, on a 125, I mean, there was just no limit to how much you could test. On a 4-stroke, things take so long to make.
Yeah, it's all
that it's all about timing, and 4-strokes are obviously expensive. You know, you can tune a 2-stroke. You know, I remember tuning cylinders on the side, you know, on the tail lift at Bouquet, and say, right, go and try that cylinder and stuff like that. And, you know, I'd have a selection of like 40 heads on inserts, didn't we, on the 125?
Oh, yeah. Just never anything. Your imagination really was a limit, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, it's. I think people that are not involved, and you look at sort of, you know, the past, it always looks as if, you know, the past was better. But it's, you know, if you think that I finished second in the world.
Yeah.
You know, when you were there operating at, well, no, it was just for your time, like operating out of a double garage.
Yeah, we were
at home
at your house. Yeah, that's what I mean. I saw your growth. I went from your garage with Mailer.
Yeah.
You won the British Championship with Mailer in '99 out of your garage. Yeah.
Yeah, and second in the world out of my garage. And you know, I remember Kurt Nickel, Leighton Rice, who now works, you know, KTM America. You know, he was Kurt's mechanic, finishing second or third in the world, and he had this little shed, and you know, with the KTM, and to work on the front end, you know, you had to leave the back wheel out of the sort of shed, and then it would turn around. But you know, I guess that's how we were sort of brought up, and that's why we appreciate so much, you know, what's going on now. You know, now we have, you know, our own dyno, we have our own machine room, and you know, the big Arctic and everything, and that's, you know, that's how it's evolved. So, you know, I do believe it's, you know, it's evolved, and you know, there may not be so many fast riders in, say, the UK, but that's not really down to the teams. You know, that you still have riders that can go out there and, you know, make that difference. You know,
they'd always find their way to the top, won't they? If they're special.
Absolutely. You know, Max went abroad and learned. You know, Conrad Muse went abroad and sort of learned. If that's what you think you've got to do to take, you know, that Eddie J. Wade, you know, he's similar. I think the tracks maybe in the UK may be a bit sort of too tame for today's sort of race. You know, if you race local level, you know, say Swanmore and, you know, the tracks around, it's maybe a bit tame. Whereas say Holland and stuff like that, you know, they're racing, you know, the kids are racing on the sort of GP style tracks. So I mean, that's probably. But then, you know, that there's talks of changes of everyone getting together, and you know, Jeff Perrott did a thing to try to get everyone together to talk, and you know, I've said I would help input to it, and you know, Paul Irwin from MX Nationals and Matt Bates, and well, trying to you know, have a look at the whole motocross scene in the UK, and how we can sort of improve it. Because Britain was the forefront of motocross, and you've got too many federations trying to have a slice of the pie, and what we need to do is care about the riders, and it's no different if they're doing 6 MX Nationals and 8 British Championships, and then other stuff. It needs to be sort of one series run correctly. And it has to be the ACU, because if you want to go on to GPs, if you want to race at club level, race at club level. If you want to race British Championship, it has to be the ACU, because they're the only ones affiliated to do the Europeans and then to GPs. That is the stepping stone.
Exactly.
That's just, there doesn't need to be any fight between federations. Or like different people. It's just trying to get the best racers at the British Championship, and try and bring some riders through. It's difficult for us as GP teams to bring riders through now, because when you're doing 20 GPs, it's hard to do the British, to do it properly. If there's a British team doing a British Championship, they can have more input with that rider than, say, a GP team could, because we're away. When
traveling
British Championship rider is just doing British, then he needs a team around him that can take him practicing 2 or 3 times a week. But when you're traveling halfway around the world, and 4 of your days are sort of, if you think now you leave on a Thursday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you're away. So in a GP turnaround, you're really only at home on Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's quite tough going for for them. The travel is the key to working the season out. That's and rest is as important as the racing.
Of course, definitely.
But
well, there's loads you could talk
about.
About.
How do you fit 30 years of experience into a couple of
you can't, can you? No.
If I drank now, I'd be down the pub telling people. But no, I mean, it's there's so many stories in there, as you know, like all sorts with all the riders, and
it's been drama.
But it's for me, it's been a great
brilliant
30 years, and I don't see an end to it. And
not many people can say they look forward to going to work every day. I think even that's a blessing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I don't just say it.
I know you live it. Yeah, you absolutely live it.
And I feel that's, that I'm blessed with that, and I'm lucky to have that, and and I appreciate it, and and I appreciate everyone that sort of supports us, and all the sponsors, and and all the sponsors are like a family as well. We have sort of a good bunch, and they all know it's ups and downs, and you can't keep it's the top teams, it's they need we all need results, but they're like hire or fire, and and obviously that's what happened to Zach. He didn't cut the mustard, and they didn't want him, and that was it. And that was probably one of my greatest times, was when when Zach timed out, and he had to go back at 23, and he said to me, he said to me, like, I'm going back to America. I'm not going to do the full 50 because I'm obviously sort of small. Can we go and race some Supercross? And I said, yeah, right. Let's make a plan. Let's go over and do 4 races. And and we went over there, and we did all the testing here in the UK and some European races. We went over there, and Zach kicked ass. He was on the podium, came away joint second after 4 races, and
he spoke about that the other day. He said that was what really, that was massive for him, being that opportunity to show himself in America again and get himself right over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we thoroughly enjoyed it. Ben enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. But and you know, we did it out of a garage, doing Zach's program. You know, going to Michael Essie's each morning.
Yeah.
We did our own testing, and yeah, you know, people looked at us like freaks in the pits because we had Zach's little black van, and yeah, they were like, "What's going on?" And then, you know, then the AMA come and protested our bike and stuff like that, and
I didn't know that, did they?
yeah,
Well,
just because the cases were anodized, and yeah, they thought they were like factory, and
yeah.
yeah, that was good. I love America. You know, we went over that time with Cole Nunn and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Did Steel City, and
Yeah.
I like the American people. I like the American style, and yeah, who knows? You know, I like to go. You know, I'd like to, you know, do a bit of time over there with the team. You know, with our team, not with a team.
Yeah, you take someone over.
Yeah, you know, that would be fun. But you know,
I wish I'd maybe entertained. Yeah, I said that to Zach, that I'd at least done it for a year or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think
like life comes along, and yeah, kids and stuff. So
yeah, no, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's it's difficult to stay in. I mean, it's all right for me because I'm a boss and I can set my own, and it's my team, and I can set my own challenges. But you know, for a mechanic or even a rider to stay in it, it's pretty. You know, if you haven't got like goals that you can achieve, then it's hard. You know, and as you get older, you know, mechanicking is harder because it's hard work.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the driving, and I couldn't physically do what I used to do.
No, I mean, like now, you know, Jordan is, you know, I can do everything, but Jordan is like so quick. You know, the mechanics are so quick. You know, like you used to be, Ben used to be, and Jordan is, and you know, they're quick at what they do.
We're testing, I think, to bring the bike in. Zach came in, put the bike on the stand, and he was going back out on the track with a new engine in 23 minutes.
Yeah. Where was that? I remember that.
That was just what was it, Tony Moto or something? Down the road from you.
Yeah, Tony Moto's Route 34 now. Yeah, or PPC.
Is that? Yeah, I've not cut, but
yeah.
But it was, yeah, we timed it. It was like 23 minutes, I think it was. But
yeah,
a hot engine.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things were.
But there, you're doing it all the time, yeah. So we used to build.
I remember Baylor. He was second, and it was at Horosvar in Slovenia, and his silencer went. It broke, and so you know, he nodded, and you know, he was pretty smart. There was two times I remember with Mailer where he was sort of smart when we had to do something in the pit. One was then, and we, you know, he came in, sort of put his hand up, knew that I was, you know, what I had to do. And he came in, he lifted the, you know, the flap at the back. It was nice and warm, and then we changed it. I think in like, it was
seconds.
It was 8 seconds.
Yeah, and imagine.
And then the other one was, we were at something like Lichtenvoorde or something in the sand, and he was running third, I think, behind Pedro Tractor and I don't know who was second or whatever. But we had I think Biao had like a 11 litre, and Bobby Moore had like 11 litre tank. We had like 14 litre tank, and we knew we weren't going to last. We'd measured it, and there was nothing more we could physically do. So we planned to do a pit stop just before the end of the race.
Yeah.
So it was all planned. There was me, and then we had Craig Elwell from DEP.
Yeah.
We all had made a plan. We rehearsed it beforehand. Anyway, he came in the pits. You know, Paul turned the engine off. He did the cap, and then you know, we had this bottle where we just, you know, it was like a 1 litre bottle, and we just opened it, just poured in. You know, it had no top. It just could go straight in. And then Paul was to get the Kickstarter out as you know, I would do the petrol cap.
Yeah.
And as he kick-started the bike and came. I think second or third place was coming round, and then Paul, he took a slingshot out of the pits and then at the speed and kept it, and he kept his position. You know, that's cool. That was F1. That was F1 style. That was. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, to do that, we went out with a full tank in practice, and he went flat out for, you know, 2 laps. We measured it, and then, you know, that's how we calculated it. We'd have had, at the end of the race, we had, I think, 250 cc's left. So, you know, he would have run out. And Pedro Tractor, who led the race, he ran out.
He ran out.
So he ran out in the lead. So, yeah, those things, you know, you have to have the confidence to put yourself forward and say, right, this is, you know, this is what we've got to do to get the points.
It was all forward planning, isn't it?
Yeah. They were good times. So,
right, I've got these questions. You want to do that?
Some questions. Yeah, go on then.
But we'll stop this video because they like time out, I think.
Yeah.
I'll send you a new one. So I'll pause that one. That's pretty good. Right, and I'll send you another link in a minute.
Okay.